Hey, welcome everybody. March Community Board meeting, April, quick, up behind. All right, let's start off. The apologies. This one.
It's John. Dave.
I haven't heard.
I haven't heard
I've not heard a bit from Jean, actually.
nor have I.
I'll text her while we carry on.
Okay, but yeah, just for that.
Hope everything's
Not here.
okay.
Moving to public forum. Danny. Welcome. Welcome up to the table. Thanks for coming back again.
Is Ed online at the moment?
Correct.
Yes. He's something Ed might have some input.
Is he on now?
So Danny, thanks for coming.
Right, thank you for allowing me to come.
The board members have all received a copy of your
Yes.
presentation,
Yeah.
Danny.
So the reason I regenerated this a little while ago, I saw a very close call of two elderly people. Obviously, they were staying in the dock farm, and they were so close for them getting cleaned out by a car looking down the road. So that's the reason I regenerated, and it's gone back to 2017, and I'm sure Margaret will confirm that there's been lots of emails going back and forth, and Margaret is asking people, can you please action this? And I get another email saying it's noted, and then So it just seems to be so simple to me that if we just click over to the next slide. So these signs and this have been installed. The next one. So these signs haven't been installed yet. And I haven't received any comment from anybody to say why they're not going to do it, what the issues are. I've had no communication from anyone about the additional signs which still have to be installed. The next one, please. But so everything's in place. That sign has been put up. There's one there opposite at the other end of the community before the Waikato dock camp. The roads have been painted, but we just haven't had any speed limit applied. So just the next one, please. So as I'm saying, the slow down signs have been installed before Waikato dock camp on Waikato Road. In Ballywell Bay community on Turiara Road. The roads are painted. The children walking signs are installed, pedestrian signs are installed. But we still need, it's still an open speed limit right through the community and right down the little bay. I just find it difficult to understand what the main issue is.
When were those signs put in, Danny? How long ago?
They were put in about when Andrew Gowley was the mayor, and was put in by.
Just after that work was done, when all that work was done to retain the side of the road there, eh?
Oh, that was before that. No, we
Did the
done.
signs go in before that or?
Oh yeah, all the way before that.
Okay.
By the Hinton Bruce. When we went to Sandra Gowley, said, I'll give you someone who can actually do something about it. And then Bruce actually got those signs installed. And then I was all excited because when they done the tar seal upgrade and resealed it, they went back and repainted the road. And when I approached them, I said, oh, who's going to put, he said, no, we are just reinstating what was there before. So, I just find it very difficult to understand why. And no one's come back and said why they can't do it or why they won't do it. Initially, if you go through there on the page 1, they said there was a roading review was going to take place, and no action could take anymore. And then when I was first met the mayor in Colville, when you had a meeting at Colville, I brought it up then, and I don't know, I didn't know his name. He clicked on his computer and he was saying, "Oh no, we won't be able to do this for a year." So it's just, for me, I just can't understand. If there's some valid reasons, so be it, but no one's ever explained or communicated the valid reasons why it can't be done.
So Danny, firstly, thanks for your patience and for your ongoing, I guess, support in approaching the community board as a means to progress it, and you're remaining positive despite 2017 seems like such a long time ago to be pushing this along, and would definitely understand you being angry and frustrated at not being able to progress. But I guess, as with most things, they are more complicated underneath than they do appear to be on the surface. And I remember the meeting when you came last year at Colville, and the reason then was because the current government at the time had a plan for road safety. There was going to be changes made, which Little Bay would have been encompassed with it, and would have led to the speed limits being put in place. But as we all know, governments don't last forever. And with the change of government, the new government have decided pretty much with everything. What the previous government was going to put in place wasn't right for one reason or another. And even to the point, it advised that they were going to undo what the previous government had done. So in some ways, it was good that we hadn't gone on and put a whole lot of work into the previous plan. The new government has a plan. The basis, not blanket changes, but targeted changes based on the views of road users, travel times, the views of local communities. And you speak very strongly on behalf of your community, saying that it's needed, and safety. So I think looking at the way the new government is facing, this definitely would fit into a category of speed change that should be done. And I think the community board would be keen to progress it with council, and to, I think, possibly getting it on the agenda at an upcoming meeting to progress it and to look at how we can actually have these and get some action taken on it.
That's great, yeah. And, you know, I'm not and that's all I'm up for, that it's just progress and take it to a higher level, and
Well, all you can ask for is for it to be done, but help, and expect that it should be. Hopefully I'm speaking for the rest of the board, that it is something that we need to be advocating strongly for, and making sure that it isn't just kicked down the road for another 7 years.
Yeah, that's all. That's what I'm coming here for. To just to talk and present that, and if anybody's got any questions, but it's
But just to be clear, is that what you're asking for, Gavin? Is that a report come back to the next meeting
So
so the board can understand fully?
that's what I would be asking for. Yeah. Although obviously we're going to accept Danny's report as part of public forum, and then progress from there. Yeah.
that's great.
See where it leads, Danny. See where it leads.
Yeah, that's all I can do. You know, I can't do much more. But you know, it's I even went as far as saying that, you know, just quite a while ago, that if somebody got seriously hurt, I would be making all my emails made public. Which, you know, I don't like doing that, because that doesn't threaten people, you know, and people don't react to threat.
Yeah, sure we can work together on it. And again,
Yep,
thank you for your patience. Understandably frustrated, and we'll give you a
yep.
commitment to
Yeah, and what I really like is the fact that if it can't be done, you know, to be advised why it can't be done.
Yeah,
Just getting no answer is, it's just for me, totally,
That's rude.
well, it's not the correct process.
yeah.
They ask us to do the process, and when we do the process, we get back and we get nothing.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not Margaret's fault, you know, she just goes and sends it to the appropriate people and they can please action this and nothing happens.
So did what I said just before fill some of those gaps for you?
Yeah.
Where we are now?
Yeah.
Yeah. How we've got there, okay.
So all I was really hoping is that at least this board would take it to the council and sort of escalate it up a bit, that's all, really.
And they will, and myself or Esther will get back to you once we know which of the board meetings it's going to come to.
Okay,
Okay, so we will be in touch, Danny, to let you know as soon as the report comes back.
great stuff.
Yes.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Danny, cheers. So would someone like to move that we accept the report from Danny on behalf of all our. Thank you. All those in favour? Aye. Motion's carried.
They're lucky to have them. Fights for them.
yes, Danny, so, yes.
So lucky to have him, we're lucky to have him also in that he's maintained a conciliatory, consultative stance with the community board.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. Better to work together than, yeah.
Correctly.
It's really good. Moving on. Anything not on the current agenda that anyone wishes to have dealt with in any way?
No items have been raised so far. Chairperson.
Nothing else. Excellent. Having seen the agenda, does anyone have a conflict of interest that they wish to declare? You?
No.
Move on to the minutes of the previous meeting. This is the meeting of 29th of
27th February.
This 27th of February. I read the minutes. Does anyone have anything that was incorrectly recorded and needs to be amended in those minutes?
Happy with the minutes, matters arising from them, yeah.
If we have matters arising from the minutes, it's simply a confirmation of.
Okay. I could find another way to slip in there. Okay.
And are you therefore
Through
moving?
the chair, there is an action schedule.
There is, but not with, yeah, okay.
Unless it's something that you think is incorrect, John, you certainly can raise that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I'm thinking it's the Buffalo Cemetery one.
Yeah.
You could raise that during the
Yeah.
work program.
I didn't, yeah, okay. I didn't actually quite say would not proceed
Oh,
in
okay.
those minutes.
Oh, okay, well, we
Yeah.
can make a note of that.
Yeah. Yeah, didn't quite say would not or should not.
Is considered a natural flow that cannot stop the storm, should not proceed. Okay,
Happy
just
to
change what
correct
it
that.
shows.
Through the chair, thank you.
And everyone's clear where that is in the minutes.
Yes.
No objections to that being changed. Okie dokie. So with that small amendment being made, I move that the minutes of the previous meeting be accepted, including that small change. Okay. Have a second then?
Yeah.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. Next item on the agenda, request for funding from Forest and Bird. Your report.
It sure is. I'll take it as read, and I know that you've all been party to the various discussions with Forest and Bird, so you're fully aware of what it is they're trying to achieve and what it is they've requested. So I'll leave it to the board to consider.
Any points anyone would like to raise? Any discussion?
Maybe a little bit of information, Gavin.
Yeah.
I actually have no problems with $6,000. It's a shame it's got to come from our discretionary fund. But I was at a meeting yesterday with Waikato Regional Council, and currently they're rating probably $5 something per household for this sort of work, you know. And in their long-term plan, they've got three options. One is to maintain the status quo at $5 something. The next is $8 something, and that's to take into account the inflationary factor. And the third option is to raise it to $15 per household, so that they can actually support more of these groups that are applying for these funds. And I think, if I remember rightly, Forest and Bird missed out last time because there was just insufficient funding to go around. So I'm hoping that people see the benefit of this, and that the option 3, I believe it was, which was increase it to $15 and some odd cents per household, gets through, and that may take some pressure off.
Just to clarify though, with that funding in that Waikato Regional Council are looking at giving it to groups like this,
Yes.
on what land? Like, is that for private land, public land, Crown land? Because in this instance, Forest and Bird are working on council reserve land, and I'm not sure Waikato Regional Council would, even though it was funded, be doing work on council reserve land. I don't know.
I believed, and I may be wrong, that they had previously received money from WRC for their work. Bubbles, am
I don't know. I don't know if
Anyway,
they've definitely received funding from Waikato Regional Council, but I don't know if that was specifically tagged to work on TCDC reserve land or other lands that they're working on.
Well, my point is that I mean, I'm happy to get the $10,000 this time around, but it can't be an ongoing thing. And I know we're reviewing our policy regarding this, but we all saw the great work they do there, and the need for that work to continue. So, I mean, I'm supportive of them.
There's certainly a council land around the place. You would expect we have an obligation to manage pests and weeds and things on council land. Having a group of people who are keen to spend their time and put effort and work into it is fantastic. But yeah, we couldn't do every single piece around the district, but I think where there's a group who are keen and committed to doing it, I think we should support them. Other thoughts? So the motion is that the Coromandel Colville Community receives the request for discretionary funding, Upper Coromandel Forest and Bird Report dated 28th March, and approves a grant of $6,000 from our discretionary fund to the Upper Coromandel Forest and Bird for plant and pest eradication on council reserves in the Coromandel Colville. Any discussion on the motion? I'll speak for it or against it. I'll put the motion. Do we have a move? I'll move it. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Just to be clear, that was to approve.
Approved.
Perfect.
It's the motion.
Thank you.
So we'll put the motion. All those in favour of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Motion is carried.
Kia ora. Writing manager.
There we go. Morning, Ed.
Oh. Next item on the agenda, the request for licence to occupy 1915 Wyuna Bay Road.
Good morning, board. First of all, Srinath would normally have been presenting this, but unfortunately he's out on the road doing his job. So covering for him at this time. If I can take the report as read, it's standard license to occupy terms and conditions for a retaining wall to create a vehicle access to 1915 Wyuna Bay Road. Happy to take any questions.
So my one question with respect to the access to private property, requiring the council reserve to happen, can't happen without crossing the council reserve. The property developer stands to bank $500,000 from the sale of the sections. Paying $1 for the access seems an imbalance there somewhere. Just
right. If I may, firstly, the reserve is not council reserve. They're gaining access to road reserve, which is a different form of land. They have a legal right of access to road reserve that we cannot prevent. All we can do is make sure that the right of access that's granted by council is suitable and safe. We can't charge any additional costs for it because it is their legal right. So in this case, we're acting on behalf of the Crown rather than the council. So I appreciate what you're saying, but legally we cannot charge anything more than a nominal fee for the grant of the license to occupy.
so the requirement for the license to occupy simply comes about because of the need to construct the wall?
That's correct, yes.
Right.
The wall is a structure. As a structure within the road reserve, it requires a license to occupy.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry.
Ed, I don't know if you remember, but down on the bottom of Wyuna Bay, I don't know the name of the road. At the bottom that runs along the beach, and at the end is Council Road.
Long Bay Road, Wyuna Bay.
Yeah, Wyuna Bay, yeah. And
the further one down is Glenfern, that goes up the hill.
no, go down to the beachfront and it runs along the front and.
Oh, in Wyuna Bay.
Wyuna Bay.
And Bay.
Ruffins.
Yeah. No, the other side, going left.
Up the.
If you go to the T intersection,
Yep.
turn left at the bottom.
Right.
And at the end of that, there's a little cul-de-sac turned around there, yeah? Now, there's houses at the end of there that we've, over the years, have told them that they can't have access through that council bit of land.
But they've got it now.
They have got it
No,
now.
they got legal access probably about 5 years ago.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay,
no, it finally all got sorted
I
out.
thought it might have been setting a precedent.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, no.
It's all right.
That may have been reserved rather than road.
And it was reserve rather than road reserve.
To make it look harder.
Esplanade reserve.
Yeah. You know, I'm pleased Gavin asked that question because I was heading down that path too about it seemed cheap, but you explained that well, Ed.
Yeah.
The license to occupy doesn't make that like public can still walk on that driveway and in the areas either side of it. It doesn't make it exclusive use, this license to occupy.
No, it doesn't. Public still have the same rights to access on road reserve.
Yep. Sweet.
No more questions?
No.
Discussion? Okay, thank you, Ed.
I wonder, Ed, if you'd be available for a couple of questions from the minutes, previous minutes from the last meeting while you're online before we deal with this one and you disappeared. Or after we deal with this one and you disappeared.
At your convenience, yes.
Through the chair.
We could, no, sorry, I was through the chair, he could, work program shouldn't be too far away if you can stay online for that one.
Okay.
We've got another couple of agenda items to work through.
Yeah.
But yeah, if no one else has any further discussion, we have a motion that's been suggested in respect to the license of occupy. The motion is that the Coromandel Colville Community Board receives the report, requests for licence to occupy dated 28th of March 2024. That we recommend to the council that the licence to occupy be granted to the current and future owners of 1915 Wyuna Bay Road on the following terms: 99 years, commencement confirmed following approval of a report by council, fee of $1, special condition licence terminable on 3 months' notice. Further, that we delegate to the chief executive and staff powers to confirm the specific terms and conditions for the licence to occupy and to enter into the agreement on behalf of council. We're clear on the motion. We have someone to move that.
I'll move it.
And a seconder.
I'll second it.
You wish to speak on the motion? Okay, we put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Motion is carried.
So just for Ed's clarity, you'd like him to come back at the work program time rather than now?
Oh, you do it at work program.
Is that okay? Do you have time for that, Ed?
I do, yes.
Thank you.
Moving to the next item on the agenda. The Waikato Regional Council long-term plan. And there's a report. John, welcome to our meeting. Thank you for coming.
Oh, kia ora, morena community board members. Yes, I'm Sian Smith, the Council's Principal Strategic Advisor, and thank you very much for your time this morning. The report you have is very brief because in order to meet the committee's agenda deadline, I had to write the report before the Waikato Regional Council's consultation document was published. That happened back on the 2nd of April, so I can give you a little bit more information about what the Regional Council is consulting on for its long-term plan, the same long-term plan we're all working on for our district at the same time. I did happen to jump on the team's call just at the end of one of the previous items and heard there was a reference to one of the proposals about the natural heritage rate, which is a fund that the Regional Council operates. So quite timely that you mentioned that, because that is indeed one of the topics that the Regional Council is consulting on, an increase to that rate so that they can fund more activities in the natural heritage type of work, primarily around initiatives for biodiversity, but also includes things like pest management as well. So that's one of the topics. The next topic that they are asking for feedback on relates to the way that the Regional Council collects rates for public transport. So at the moment, there is a little bit of a difference across the region in how they collect that rate. And they're proposing to change it to make the rate entirely region-wide, rather than allowing some districts to collect their own rates separately from that, and then regional transport is obviously is funded on a regional basis. The next item that they're asking for feedback on is the operation of the Regional Economic Development Fund. They are proposing to discontinue a fund that, in fact, the Thames Coromandel District has actually benefited from in delivery of some large-scale projects here, and redirect the funding into a different agency. The next topic that they're asking for feedback on is a change to the way that the funding for the monitoring of permitted activities under the Resource Management Act is funded. That primarily relates to large rural properties, properties that are larger than 20 hectares will be required to pay an increased amount for a targeted rate, so that the Regional Council can monitor activities on their land. As was mentioned by one of the members that I happened to hear when I joined the call earlier, the council will be looking to support the proposal for the increase in the natural heritage rate for that biodiversity work. Possibly we will also be indicating support for the region-wide public transport rate, and probably also say something about the Economic Development Fund, because that is something that the Thames Coromandel District has benefited from. In addition to those consultation questions, the Waikato Regional Council also published a draft of their long-term plan, and within that document there are important things such as their infrastructure strategy, which again is of great interest to the Thames Coromandel District, because the Regional Council is responsible for really critical natural hazard management infrastructure such as flood protection. So council staff have taken a really good look at what the Regional Council has in their draft infrastructure strategy, and possibly we will make some comments, provide some feedback on that as well. The draft feedback is, as I said in my report, the draft feedback is going to be considered at the upcoming council meeting on the 30th of April. So anyway, I'm happy to answer any questions. Hopefully that is clear. If I haven't clearly explained anything, please let me know and I'll try a bit better.
Just a couple of questions through the chair, if I can. That regional development fund, is that the vessel we use to get funding for a rikitahi, for example? You mentioned projects.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure. Let me just see if anybody. Oh, Lorna may be able to answer the question.
Kia ora, Councillor Morrissey. Through the chair, yes, it is. That's the fund, and it was also the fund which we were able to get money for the Kopu project as well. So interestingly, if you look at the fund, the only two successful applications have both been from the Coromandel.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Lorna.
Thanks, Lorna.
And the biodiversity money, is that available for use on TCDC land?
I don't know. The consultation proposal doesn't go into that level of detail. It's purely asking about the increase in the amount. It doesn't go into those details. But again, my colleague Lorna may be able to offer some insights into that more than I can. Thank you, Lorna.
Yes, through the chair, my understanding is that they are interested in looking at TCDC land as well. Just for your information, we do have at the Sustainability and Community Resilience Committee meeting on Thursday, and the workshop will be meeting with people from Regional Council who will talk about some of that work and how it may, how we may be able to collaborate in that space better.
Thank you, Lorna. Yeah, I think.
And just my question, typically do community boards make submissions to this long-term plan?
I'm not aware of that. Certainly the council as an entity is going to be providing feedback to the Regional Council, and I do have some input from the other community boards who had their meetings last week. Some suggestions that they've sent through to me. If Coromandel Colville has some points that they think would be useful to include on any of those matters that I mentioned, please do through your area manager. Provide that content and send it through to me. And we've got a very, very small amount of time until the agenda closes for the council meeting, just the next couple of days really. So if you are able to put something together in the next couple of days, please do get your area manager to send that through to me, and I'll include it in the draft feedback for the 30th of April meeting.
Cool, thank you.
And one final point through the chair. Yes, this is about the public transport, and hopefully you've got the information in front of you. I heard it yesterday, but if you've got the information in front of you, that'd be great. I always believed that it was going to, the WRC were going to impose a a regional-wide rate for that public transport. And then I learned yesterday that it it's going to depend on how close you live to a bus stop.
Yeah.
Which was quite an interesting revelation to me. Because I could think, I know it's a certain rate within 800 metres of a bus stop, and then a different rate if you're more than 5 kilometres from the bus stop. But then after that, it appeared to be a free ride, and you weren't going to be paying that rate at all. And I was just wondering, can you just run through?
Yeah,
exactly
I can. Yes, I can tell
so that
you.
everybody knows.
Yes, I can tell you what the exact proposal for that is. You've described it pretty closely to accurate. There are 2 options that the regional council has asked for people to give views on in relation to this public transport rate. So just to reiterate what the point of it is, currently there is a variety across the region of district councils who collect rates for public transport and those who don't. Thames Coromandel is one of the ones that does not, where you rely on the funding from the regional council. So what the regional council is proposing is that no longer would individual district councils be collecting rates to fund public transport. That would all be done by the regional council,
Right.
and so that be so just to make sure that context is well understood. So then there are 2 options for how they could collect that rate, and that's what you've touched on. Is the first option is for well, both options are an 80-20 split in terms of the types of properties that would be paying the rate. So they're both 80-20. The first option, the 80% would be paid by people who live within 5 kilometres of a bus route. The 20% would come from everybody else, across the whole entire region. So no free rides, no free rides.
No free rides. That's great. Yeah, thank you.
That's right. The second one, which I think maybe you could sort of construe it as a free ride. The first option is the regional council's preferred option. So I have to admit, I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about option 2 because it's not the regional council's preferred option. But this is perhaps where you got the idea. Option 2, the 80% would come from people that live within 800 metres of a bus stop. The 20% would come from people who live between 800 metres and 5 kilometres. So under that one, it appears that if you're more than 5 kilometres from a bus stop, you wouldn't pay the
That's
public
free
transport
rides.
rate. So that could be the one that you were thinking of, yes?
That is the one.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's not the preferred option. And so if the council does say in its feedback anything about this, then we would certainly be preferring the option 1 where everybody pays at least something.
That's great.
So yeah.
Although the people from Colville,
I know.
gladly pay once the bus stops outside the Colville store.
Yeah, but they're outside that 5 kilometres, so they just have to drive in here and they'll get a free ride anyway, Gavin. No, it doesn't matter. Okay, no, thank you. Let's clear that up. And I just want the other board members to be aware of how they work.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay, any more?
So just to clarify, you've got 48 hours, Sian, if the board does come up with some things. Happen if the boards came up with some comments that conflicted councils.
Well, hopefully that wouldn't happen. But yes, my absolute latest that I can complete my report is 5 o'clock on Thursday. And obviously the later I do it, the more, the less time that our very hard-working governance staff have to, compile the agenda and get things set out. So yes, sooner rather than later would be much appreciated.
If this board does have something to give, Shane, we'll give you. If this board does have something to think, they'll get their comments back to me by 9 a.m. tomorrow, and you'd have
Wonderful.
them Really.
That would be wonderful. Yes, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you very much. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Sean.
You're most welcome. Thank you very much for your time and for the discussion, and yes, look forward to anything you might want to contribute.
Thank you. Okay, so we have the report. The motion that I'd like to put forward is that we accept that we received the Waikato Regional Council Long-Term Plan Report dated 3 April 2024. Have a mover.
I'll move it.
And a seconder.
Yeah. I'll do that.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Helen.
Thank you.
I'm Helen Blow from the Community Partnerships team. Oh, that's going down.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Let's take the report as read. I'm giving you an update on our social recovery program. And just, this is the fourth community board I've spoken to. So there's a couple of points that have come up that I'm going to add in and talk a little bit about, if that's right. The first is about the staffing of our team. So it's myself plus 2 social navigators, Kev Markley, who is lives in this is based here, and Sean Fitzpatrick. Plus we've just got a 6-month Best Task Force for Jobs cadet helping us as well. Now those salaries for this year are all funded through recovery, so there's no salary cost to council. But on top of that, our work program is also funded. So we've got I juggle $1.54 million of budget, which has come through from a variety of central government plus funding applications to Lions, Red Cross, wherever I can find some money. So the work program we're delivering on is also fully externally funded, which is it's so exciting to be able to have a little bit of money to put back into the area in this really important space. But we also help, as well as that, help our community groups and I with funding applications for other sources that we hear about. So there's more than that 1.54 million that's coming into our district, into recovery in that social space. The other thing is that there's a social recovery placard, picture with the placard saying there's 18 yellow placards. So since this gets done, it's an example of how recovery is still very much alive in our district. We've had 2 additional yellow placards put in place. So there's a group of properties affected at Thames Post Road where Department of Conservation did an engineering report, and the consequence of that, 2 additional yellow placards have been put in place. So recovery is not over, it's very much alive. In fact, at the moment we're working at doing a recovery plan update just to identify the still active areas, including, if you've been anywhere on the State Highway 25 network, you are aware that, that is still an impediment for people travelling, is, the delay it takes to get anywhere. So from 1 July, our team reduces by those 2 navigators, but recovery is still part of our role. And there's a permanent community navigator role that will join the team. That's already funded through the budget and long-term plan. But decision 2 of the long-term plan consultation document is talking about additional money for community outcomes to continue some of the great work we're doing. I think the greatest benefit for me coming after years of civil defence into this role is the community relationships and partnerships we're building. And it's not very often as from council we can go and say, right, what do you want, we'll fund it. So it's been really beneficial in building those relationships. Another example of an action that hasn't really come through recovery, but is a relationship building for our team, is the Waikato Wellbeing Project. And this is Waikato Regional Council and Wellbeing and Jackie 100% funding the development of a wellbeing measure for Haraki. So they're partnered with Te Tara Otapai, Thames Coromandel District Council, Haraki and Manamana Piako. And they want to do a scoping session, which is going to be held, the first of which is going to be held here in Coromandel on the 2nd of May. So it's an opportunity for us to talk to our community and say, what is it that's important to you that would be a good measure of wellbeing. So just socialising that, because you might hear a little bit more about that. Hilt have offered to host that session, and so invitations have gone out, targeting a few people in our community who we know work with sector groups like disability youth, the elderly, and communities at risk with sea level rise, which is quite a few. I think that's the main, in addition to my report. So any questions?
No questions. So Helen, I'd just like to say from our community board and our submission to the long-term plan, we have expressed our support for continuing the funding of the connected communities. We believe that, yeah, very worthwhile work, particularly in our area where people are more isolated and more at risk of becoming physically isolated, and being able to get the support that you and your team are bringing to our communities is great. We really appreciate it and are keen for it to continue. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Rather painless. Thank you, Helen.
That didn't hurt at all, did
I love coming to Coromandel, so it's not at all.
it? So Helen, sorry, should that come to pass and the council's preferred option comes into the long-term plan, will that mean business as usual for you and your team, or what changes would happen?
At the moment, for our team, recovery has been the main focus.
Yeah.
So community development, basically. But it does mean that if we've got additional budget or additional staffing, that community development focus of council is really enlivened. And, you know, there's a lot more being able to work with community groups or organisations and partner with them and add value.
Yeah.
So the more people, the more budget you have, the easier it is to build on that. And that's the point about that community partnerships. It's not council spending our money and our time doing everything for the community. There's amazing groups out there. Let's see how we can help them. And sometimes it's just advice.
Yeah. Right. Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers. Okay, so we have the report from Helen. Recovery plan, social recovery update. The motion is that the Coromandel Colville Community Board receives the recovery plan, social recovery update report dated 22nd March 2024. We have a mover for the motion.
I'll move it. I'll second it.
Put the motion, all those in favour?
Aye.
All those against? The motion is carried. Thank you.
You're up, Adrian.
Customer services. Welcome.
Everyone, thank you so much for having me. My name is Adriana Santamaria. I'm the customer services manager. I've been working with the organization for about 3 years now. And the purpose of me being here today is to give you an overview of what support and services my team provide to the organization and to the community. So in the first, basically in your report, you will find charts to reflect the number of queries that we receive through from our district. So we have the main channels for our team. We have the front desk, which is the offices. The second one is through a website, when the customers load the queries from the website. Call center, our phone number is 24/7, and also emails. We receive around 500 emails a day that we need to process. So in the first chart, you will see the number of calls and RFSs that we received from 1st of January until 1st of March. So basically, our team has been upskilled and have an intense amount of training to be able to answer the calls and queries at 80% at the first point of contact, which is amazing. In the next chart, so basically, if you compare in the first chart the total amount of queries and phone calls that we received, the phone calls that we received was 12,082 calls. In the next chart, you can see the amount of emails that my team processed during per month. Was a total amount of emails from 1st of January to 1st of March of 5,448 emails. So this is a high volume compared that because this report includes January, and January is part of the peak season for non-resident payers who travel to our district. In the next chart, you can see the breakdown of the foot traffic. It means how many customers we receive or visit our office. So if you can go to the percentage, normally Coromandel is 10%. The fluctuation for Coromandel is between 8 and 10% across the year. For visited office for visit in our office, we have a high demand in Thames and AA. So basically, Thames and AA represent 0.5% of the total volume. We have in terms of AA is the transport agency. So we are working with the agency and we present a formal query to request to implement permanent services in Whitianga and Whangamata. So at the moment, we only have 3 times mobile units that AA provide these services. However, we have a large demand, and Helen helped us with studies that support our formal query to the AA agency to establish a permanent services in Whangamata. They continue only 3 times with mobile units, but the goal is to have an office for AA in Whitianga that could benefit Coromandel as well. We haven't yet formal response of this query. It will benefit if we achieve a permanent services in AA. So it will benefit all the staff, the students and the parents who have to travel to teams to process the license for the students. It will support the workforce for the young population and also the elderly population who has to travel to teams to do the licenses. For the WIDA event, we have a lot of challenges with AA because the community have to travel to teams. So hopefully we will get a good outcome of this request. So in the next chart, now we will see the number of RFSs, the number of requests per services breakdown per word. So normally, and because again, it includes the peak period for January, so the highest RFS that we have was Mercury Bay, following by Thames, Whangamata, Tairua Pauanui, and Coromandel. In the next chart, we can see for each ward which were the top 5 departments. So in Tairua Pauanui, we have solid waste. Solid waste has been leading the top 5 departments for all of the wards, but basically it's because of the peak season in January. right now, solid waste become normal volume of queries. We start a new transition of solid waste in August, and right now we can see that become normal to the community. The community adjusts be that to the changes. So if we can continue with the top 5 departments in Tairua, Pauanui, we have solid waste, parks and reserve, regulatory, water service, and land information memorandum, which refers to land reports. Yeah. So how about teams? In teams, we have the same top departments, however, roading is the difference from Pauanui, compared to Pauanui. So we have solid waste, water service, regulatory, parks and reserves, and roading. If we move to Mercury Bay, they have basically the same, but instead of roading, they have building services. If we move to Coromandel Town, in Coromandel Town, the high volume of queries were solid waste, following water services, regulatory, roading, and parks and reserves.
Can I just clarify, Adriana, you label it Coromandel Town, but do you mean our whole ward?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, not just the Coromandel Town area, eh?
It is. So what happened in our reports, when they break down by word, Coromandel Town, our system will pick only the queries and RFSs that were loading under Coromandel Town, or that we received for all the residents in the Coromandel Town, in the whole area of Coromandel Town. That's responding queries.
The ward.
No, there's a difference between Coromandel Town
No, it's the word.
and then the Coromandel Colville ward, yeah. So what you're saying, this actually is a reflection of the whole ward, isn't it? Not just the town. Yeah,
You're right.
that's all I'm clarifying.
Perfect.
Lorna's popped up.
Oh, hi there. Just a point of clarification as well, though, Adriana, you might be able to elaborate, but I understand with curbside, though, the only collections are around Coromandel Town. It's not the whole ward. So for the curbside, it might just be referring to the town, just for solid for the curbside collection RFSs.
But we have
But we have,
them right throughout the ward.
yeah, it's not.
You
just-
do? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't know. Just
on
wanted
the loop. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not.
You
a
do.
whole-
So that's the whole ward.
Thank you, Lola. So now, let's move to our RFS improvement project. So through these meetings, you have been provide feedback about because our TCDC getting back to the customers to let them know the outcome of the RFS. To ensure this happens, we are working in a project across all departments. And the main goal of this project is to ensure that our customers have a positive experience when they're dealing with TCDC.
Mm-hmm.
So at the moment, so what is the project about? So the first component is that when the RFS has been closed, it means when you load an RFS, like let's say remove a tree from the road, the RFS has been complete, the customer will receive an automatic notification by email saying your RFS has been complete. If you have any query, if you want to know or have any query for any additional query for your RFS, please contact customer services. Now, additional to this project, additional to this automatic response, we are having an educational plan across all of our departments to ensure they have a good notes and they provide the outcome clearly. What was the outcome of the RFS in there when they close the RFS? So at the moment, we leading with Parks and Reserve. We are 50% to complete the automatic notifications for Parks and Reserves. Then, as you can see, after Parks and Reserve, we will move to implement the automatic notifications with roading, then water services, solid waste, regulatory, duty planning, and building, until we complete all the departments with automatic notification when the RFS is complete. Some departments work alongside with contractors. So we already have a meeting with the contractors to ensure from customer services, we provide a clear notes and to make easy and smooth the transition when they complete their RFSs. So hopefully the time frame to complete this project will be mid of July this year. If you have any questions.
That was a big sigh, John.
Yeah, no, that's great. Great, Adriana. That's what we've been aiming for a long time. So just to be absolutely clear, when the customer gets this notification back, it's not because we've passed it on to the contractor and signed it off. It's because the contractor has come back to us and said the job has been completed. Is that right?
So in our system in Pathway, you call TCDC, you will load the RFPs.
Yes.
And then let's say the contractor for Parks and Reserve will be green by nature. They complete the RFPs.
Yes.
You will and they will close the RFPs and you will receive immediately the notification.
Absolutely great. So that's when the actual person that's doing the task has completed the task.
Yeah, exactly.
Fine.
So you get the initial one, say you log it on the internet, you get the initial
Notification.
response saying we've received your complaint or whatever, and your number and all of that. And then when the job's completed, you'll get another email saying work has been done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 Okay, cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. So probably if you look at the in the mid of May, you will start receiving all the notifications for Parks and Reserves. Any other question?
So, but you are saying that all activities, you
Yeah.
get it, it's just that Parks and Reserves are only at 50%
So
so
Parks
far.
and Reserve, yes.
Yeah.
Parks and Reserve has 83 services. They provide 83 services to the community. However, by the nature of some service, they wouldn't receive automatic notification. It means cemetery services because it's a personal service that we need to be in contact with the customer all the time.
We get it.
So Adriana, will we be able to get, will we be receiving these graphs showing what the requests for service were on a regular basis up here? Because it's a good indication of where council's probably struggling the most to deliver a satisfactory service. And I accept what you're saying about the new curbside rubbish collections. I would hope once they've been around for a little while, they will drop back. So would we get those sorts of charts regularly?
Of course, the idea is to update you in every single meeting.
Yeah.
And then, but if you want an additional information for a specific period, please contact Margaret and I will be happy to provide the report that you guys have.
Adriana, awesome. That's a good way to see where possible issues are.
Because I understand there's some reporting across the business from the unit in terms of like a set of KPIs around timing or how many's open and those kind of things, as opposed to kind of the raw data around the numbers. I guess the community board would be more interested in perhaps trending. How are we going in terms of our numbers that are open?
Okay.
Length of time between opening and closure, that kind of one analytical information.
Great.
I think there would be a chance of getting that from the system.
In terms of the completion of the RFPs, so we have will be open RFPs or in progress or complete. The RFPs have been completed. Every single RFPs or request for service is built into a specific time frames. So RFPs like for solid waste have 1 day time frame. Other RFPs like some RFPs for roading have 4 or 5 months. The current status of the RFPs, let's say for roading in Coromandel office, they load 300 RFPs. What is the status? We can every single department are able to provide the status of their orifices on these three, and there are how many of them are closed or in progress or open.
Cool.
So definitely something that every single department can provide.
Thank you.
Nice.
Lorna, you have something
Hi,
to add?
Guy. Hi, sorry. Through the chair, I just wanted to add a couple of things. It will be quarterly reporting, so it won't be at every of your board meetings. It will be quarterly. So the data's just a bit, we're collecting a bit more. Adriana, as she said, she will be able to provide what RFSs are outstanding so that you'll get an idea of what ones are still open. And as she mentioned, with things like the roading program, because like the roading program takes a while to be scheduled in for going around the district. So we don't close the RFS until the actual roading work in that area is done, but it will be scheduled in the roading program, but the customer won't get the closed RFS until the actual work is done. The other thing I just want to acknowledge is just the hard work that Adriana's really put in to lead this project, because it's been across all the different departments, and it's involved IT and all the contractors.
That's it. Frozen in time.
But we've
Yeah,
got to
absolutely.
get, we've got the gist of the workload, Adrian.
Thank you, Adrian.
Appreciate the results of that.
And the numbers, and yeah, to keep on top of it all is amazing. So yeah, thank you.
So much.
Sorry, I bumped out there. So just saying, yeah, there's been a lot of improvement around the relationship with the contractors as well, and also customer services, the way that they're getting the information from customers. They're getting a lot more, I guess, detail before they even pass it on to an RFS to be responded to. So it's definitely been an improvement project across the whole of the business, and so that's been really invaluable in itself.
You know, look, it's all about customer satisfaction, Laura, and this is great. And the staff training that must have gone in to get anybody that actually takes a phone call to be able to answer a question. I mean, there's a lot of them just getting dealt with immediately. So good stuff.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you.
And Glenn.
Before we move on,
morning.
to accept that report. The motion is that we receive the request for service report, 1 January 24 to 1 March 24 report, dated 14th of March 24. Move in a second, please.
Yeah. Move it. Are you able to bring it up to S or no, the work group? I don't know whether it was just me or everyone got a half a page. Yeah.
First, all those in favour?
I'm not the only one getting our step today.
Anyone opposed to receiving that report? I imagine it would be nobody. The motion is carried. Sound you. Yeah.
I've got that.
Oh, okay, cool.
Would you like to say?
Just what a great chair you are.
Yeah,
I'd like to
we
highlight
both
that
overstepped the
was
mark.
cut off.
Yes. Oh, now I'm going to get the blame for it as well.
No, it's good to be able to see the whole report up.
Yes.
Glenn, welcome to our disorganised meeting.
Good morning, all.
Anything that you'd like to just point out?
So I just had a phone call literally 5 minutes ago about the Takuma Road intersection. So just an update that our property and land acquisition consultant is scheduling a meeting in about a week or so with the property owner, that things are starting to get down to the pointy end of that conversation with reasonably positive vibes, or I don't know, just it's on track to have those negotiations settled by the end of this financial year, so we can get on with the capital works for next year. So that's hot off the press.
Cool. Thank you.
And the rest you're welcome to take as read, unless you'd just be interested if you had any questions back.
Okay, so a couple of questions.
Yep.
First, that Te Kuma Road intersection, Glenn was going to attract some funding from Waikato. Not a huge amount, in my opinion. Should have been more. That's still okay. They haven't changed. No murmurs because of the change in government and funding or anything like that. We're still okay with them cricketing.
So I've not heard anything about funding issues with that. So I would defer to Ed on that one. But yeah, to the best of my knowledge, the funding's still secure.
Good.
Through the board, I can confirm I've heard nothing either.
Well, hearing nothing's probably a good thing then, isn't it, Ed?
At this moment, yes.
Now, second one is something that was dealt with at the last, it was in public forum at the last community board meeting, Ed, and that's the, or Glenn, I don't mind whichever one, that's the Woollands Avenue service lane and the sleeping police officers in there. How are we looking with that?
The car park, yeah.
No, not the car park. The Woollands Avenue service lane access to businesses. I'm presuming that's the roadway there.
Through the board, yes, this was raised by the medical centre.
Oh,
Sorry.
no, sorry, mate. Sorry, Ed.
You need to be, that's a different report.
I'm getting carried away. We'll stick with the one I've got in front of me.
He's thinking about morning tea.
No, sorry,
How did I get to there?
again, if you could just back around after this one as well. please.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I've turned the page too much.
Any other questions regarding this report?
Yeah, I'm going to get some, I think. Yeah, no. We're still working on that Buffalo Road Cemetery stormwater stuff, aren't we? And we decided it wasn't. It's over. Yeah, okay. It's okay. No, I'm
that
fine.
work is still going to happen. Are we clear on that?
Sorry, which is still going?
We're clear on that, aren't we, Claire? That work is still to happen on the Buffalo Cemetery for the stormwater issues.
Yeah, so for this year, it's really around investigation, and the focus is on getting the consent so that we can expand the cemetery into that land. So in the comments there, you see the ground penetrating radar. So it's partly just to look for rocks and anything buried that's material, but also just unmarked graves. I don't think there's an expectation that there's anything there, but just de-risking the project in terms of the planning.
Yep, that's fine.
Might be the old horse. Can you just go down a little bit, S? We'd just like to formally note yes, that the Hauraki House
yes.
land purchase has been completed. It was started in 2001.
Yes, it's unbelievable.
So we just would like to record that.
And very, very happy with that. Has anybody get Sandra Gowdy? No. No joking. She drove that.
She did do well. We got there in the end.
See her.
All righty. No more questions. Thank you, Glenn. Keep up the good work.
Thank you all.
Cheers. So the mission is that we receive Coromandel Colville Community Board CAPEX Work Program 23-24 and the other operational information updates report dated 28th of March. Move that we accept that report. Have a seconder.
Yep.
Thank you, Jim. All those in favour?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Actions. Oh, Lisa.
It's your report.
I will take the report as read and ask questions. We do have Ed online to answer
Ed.
your question now, Don.
That's right. Sorry, Ed, I got out of step before, mate. Yeah, that, now we'll deal with the Williams Avenue little roadway thing there. We had that presentation in public forum last time from Tessa Blythe. And we just sent it your way to see what we could do there to assist. What is potentially quite a tricky situation for a lot of those businesses when they step straight off out of their property onto the road along there is inappropriate. So some kind of way of slowing them down. So where do we get with that, Ed?
Right. So we've done a survey of the area. The primary issue is that all the businesses along there exit directly onto the road. They have no visibility of vehicles from either direction, and there's nothing we can do to protect the entrances with the road in its current form. We've looked at the options of sleeping policemen. That is possible. If we were to do that, I would actually prefer to create a raised platform for the zebra crossing rather than put sleeping policemen along the road. So you have one point in the middle of the road where it also serves to benefit pedestrian access from the school into town, etc. The issue with that is that we have had a very firm directive from the new government that they do not support raised platforms or sleeping policemen. They've not clarified that at the moment, so we're a little bit in a grey area there. This is an area where I think this would be beneficial, but if central government doesn't support it, and through them if NZTA would not support it, we could find ourselves in a very exposed position if we were to provide it. Now, the other thing we've looked at is the actual nature of the road itself. There is car parking on the car park side of the road and 2 clear lanes of traffic. One of the options we've looked at is potential to move the car parking from the car park side of the road to the shop side of the road. And in areas where you have an entranceway, to actually create build outs. So physically create something that protects that entranceway. This would mean that we would lose probably 80% of the car parking that's currently down that road, but it would solve the problem. Now, the other option we're looking at is to actually make that road one way. To do that would be a traffic order. It's not beyond the realms of council to do that. But to do that, it would preserve the car parking in its current location, but also provide the option to take the northbound lane, as it were, and put build outs and maybe small areas of additional car parking on that side. Now, the direction of the one-way service or one-way route hasn't been fully explored yet. Our current feeling is that it should be from the north to the south, because that would seem to be the more general route. But as I say, we're still looking into that. Now, the other thing that we need to consider is how this road would be used if the Coromandel bypass were to be built, because there is potential there to increase traffic flows around that area through the link to the bypass. People may try and still use it as an alternative route, but there's also the possibility that people may actually shy away from that area in the future because they have a better alternative route to bypass town through the bypass. Now that's my general feeling at the moment, that people are speeding down that road because There's a bit of congestion in the town centre, and they want to try and bypass it by using that road. So at the moment, we do not have a definitive solution. We're still looking at options, but they're the ones that we're currently looking at. So happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Ed. Can I ask a couple of questions through the chair?
Yes.
You're right. So many options and things you said there, Ed, eh? But just a couple of things I'd just like to say. What immediately hits me is I want to keep it simple. I really do want to keep it simple. Your thoughts on moving the road across maybe to the other side of the car park and bring the car park in closer. Instantly, that sounds like a good idea, but then that will impede delivery of goods to some of those businesses along there. So that's not good. It would mean more traffic flow closer to the school and the swimming pool, and that's not good. So I don't think moving the roadway from its present location, this is real quick off the cuff stuff, Ed, would actually be a very good idea. And there's no way to get all those car parks in there. I don't want to lose one car park for the town out of that area if we can avoid it. Certainly don't want to lose any parking. And I get very frustrated with government and stuff. This is actually, to me, a really simple thing. And while I don't like the term sleeping policemen, they are bloody effective. And I would say that we should have the sleeping policeman plus the raised pedestrian crossing. I think that would be a very, very good throttle for traffic if there were three sort of obstacles for them to get across. I'm not sure. Is that actually a legal pedestrian crossing yet? It's marked like a pedestrian crossing, but I'm not sure.
It is a legal pedestrian crossing. It's for school access to the town centre.
That's great. Yeah, that's
the car park. Yeah. So
to me, Ed, we can make it really. I mean, you've given us options, and I always appreciate your options. But to me, it's sleeping policemen, and I heard the argument that the cars can just get round the end of those sleeping policemen, but that would only be at night because those car parks are usually full of cars, and the vehicles obviously at that stage can't get round the edge of those sleeping police officers. They are really there just for the daytime, and if people want to go around the ends of them at night, that's fine. So I'm really thinking, Ed, and I do believe there is an issue there of safety. I really do. For the number of pedestrians that are going from the town to the cars, for a start, for the businesses, for the school children, and I believe you me, I mean, just between, I won't mention the name, but an ex-police colleague of mine got so frustrated one day when he was out walking at the speed of a vehicle through there, and it was that he threw the pie he happened to be eating at the front windscreen of the vehicle. True story. So we do have speeding issues there, Ed, and I do want to advance this, and I want to keep it simple. And to me, sleeping policemen are a really quick, simple fix that shouldn't get too complicated. My thoughts. Yes.
Through the chair, I agree with John. I've worked in the back there on weekends at the doctors, and it's worse during the week than it is the weekends. But yeah, the speed is horrendous. I don't think putting car parks on the other side of the road will make a difference. It's all about speed. It's not about anything else but the speed that this whole conversation's come up about. And I don't think that changing the situation of where the road is going to make the difference. It's about slowing the traffic down. But I also think that it's not just there, it's the main street as well. Our main street, we were looking at reducing speeds and things with the last government. I don't know about whether we need to look at it with the new government, how you're going to be able to do that. But I think that the speed of our main street is really far too high as well. 30 kilometres an hour is if you can't drive 30 kilometres an hour up the main street,
Mm.
you know,
Totally.
you shouldn't be doing it.
I'd just like to speak on for the one-way system. I think Ed's proposal of moving the road is simply moving it. So instead of people coming straight out of the garage at the medical centre, for example, and stepping onto a roadway, the roadway will essentially be against that border.
Gotcha.
And then if it's one way, it actually provides the opportunity to put a buffer between the buildings and the active roadway. So yeah, speed's an issue, but it also about space. So the people coming out of those businesses have a safe space to walk into.
Yeah.
And then the traffic is beyond that. And if the one way went to the north, up the back of the shops, and to the south through the main car park itself, that makes more sense logically in terms of keeping left on a one-way system, doesn't it? Effectively a clockwise rotation.
Then would that not prohibit, like what John said, deliveries? And at the end of the day, it's a service lane. It was built to deliver to the back of those shops.
It'll probably make it.
And it will cost
make
us
it better because they can drive in. It's not a road, it's only a one-way system, maybe.
Yeah,
We just how you use the space.
Thank you for, you're right, actually, I'd moved the road too far.
Yeah.
But now that I know where the road is, we are proposing it, I still see an issue. First thing I see is cost.
Yeah.
It's not going to be cheap to do that. It's going to be a lot more than a couple of humps of tar seal. And the other thing is,
The delivery.
yeah, it was deliveries and cost, when really it shouldn't be too complicated just to put some tar seal bumps on that road at a reasonable cost that we can afford.
And paint some red bits. They were really effective.
So, yeah.
Through the board, can I make a suggestion on the way forward?
Yep, please.
The issue with speed humps, we don't call them sleeping policemen.
Thank you.
Right.
They are speed humps or raised platforms. That can be dealt with. As I say, central government has put out guidance that they do not see these as being supported. The problem is the guidance provided by central government at this time is not specific and appears to be related solely towards the state highway network or major routes. So my feeling on this is, although we do have written guidance saying they're not supported, should the community feel that they are necessary for road safety, I doubt if the local MP would wish to stand in the way. The costs is something we can investigate. What I would suggest we do is come up with potentially 3 options. One would be for the sleeping policeman, sorry, the road humps. I apologise. Apologise to all our listeners in the police force. Road humps or raised platforms, so we get that one sort of sketched out and priced up. One is to look at moving the alignment of the road across within the current confines and keeping it a two-way road. Humps. So we could do the same thing there, and we could do the similar thing with a one-way system that keeps that could be northbound or southbound, that wouldn't vary. We could probably get that a report through, I'm not guaranteeing the next community board meeting, but certainly in the early part of the next financial year, we should be able to get something through to you on that one. You mentioned costs. In the current LTP, the funding for road safety projects like this has been drastically cut. If we consider raised road humps, it's unlikely that NZTA would want to subsidise that. So anything would probably be 100% council funded. And if we don't have sufficient funding for it, obviously we need to do an out of cycle budget request for it.
Thanks, Ed. So, am I hearing you saying you'll bring a report back to the community board?
That would be my intention. Any sort of work like this would need to have the support of the community board before going to council for funding.
Thank you, Ed.
If you could, please.
No, sorry.
Good.
Chair wants it.
Yeah. Good way forward. Yeah, and I think that's really great, particularly with having had the representation to the public forum. For us to progress through a report coming back would be fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And between us here, that wasn't the first person that's come
No.
public forum about this issue. It has been a bubbling away there for a while. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so anything else from the action, any actions that people think should be on the action schedule, or we're happy with it as it stands?
Can we add to that action schedule, can we?
For the next one.
Yes, we'll update that comment on the action schedule as the report will be coming back.
Okay.
Probably it'll be the July, August meeting, whatever that one is.
Yeah.
And we didn't get our drainage up Buffalo Road.
No.
No,
Before I leave.
you're gonna be here a long time.
Alan Hodaki House Day.
Yeah, that was my one. I can retire now.
Okay then, so we're done with the action schedule.
Yep. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. The motion is that we receive the action schedule report dated 28 March 24. Mover and a seconder, please.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. And leaving the best for last. Chairperson's report.
What a great report.
I'll just read it out to you. The community board. No, I won't.
Take it as read. I have read it. Very interesting.
The board has read, I think, significantly the submissions that we're making. Great for us to take our words forward into the long-term planning and also regional council in terms of the roading and the importance of the roads to us. So yeah, those will both get presented to the council and to the regional council in due course. And they're attached, so people can read them at their leisure.
I think you know. But
You know,
So I'd like to move that the community board receives the chairperson's report dated 2nd April 24.
no.
Seconder,
Yeah.
all those in favour?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you all. 10:33. Close the meeting.
We're getting good, thank you.
You,
Where is the morning tea before you leave?
oh, there is.
I did get you some morning